All right, so what we're going to talk about is how savvy real estate investors take advantage of a market shift with subject to financing. So, subject to financing is I don't want to say it's a little known trick or strategy in real estate investing, but it is a strategy that very, very, very few real estate investors actually execute upon. So even myself, I've only done this a handful of times, even though I've been in real estate for a dozen plus years. But and a lot of times, like the thing with real estate, the thing with business, the thing with creating results is focus. Like, people always ask me, just general questions like, how do I do this? How do I do that? Can I do this? I'm like, you can do anything in the world of real estate if you just focus on it, right? So for those of you who aren't aware, subject to is basically whenever we as real estate investors buy a property from the seller subject to their financing. So they have some type of mortgage in place. Let's say they've got, 25 years left on a 30-year mortgage. They owe $150,000 and it's at 4.5% interest. We could essentially buy their home, but we are going to take over that mortgage. So it's a little bit complicated, but not so much. So whenever we do that, so let's say, for example, we go into meet with the seller. They say, and a lot of times I will add that a lot of times these types of deals, there's not a lot of equity in them. Okay, there's not a lot of equity in them, so these people are in a distressed type of situation, right? So they're in a distressed type of situation, which leads us to where we're at right now, right? There's a lot of job loss. There's businesses going out of business. There are all types of changes and things like that going in a very unstable market right now. So that's going to be a lot of opportunity for us. So these sellers are going to be in a situation. A lot of times you will see these types of deals in new construction neighborhoods, homes less than 5 to 10 years old, and there's not a lot of equity. There's not a lot of equity in a lot of times, but that being said, they have very, very solid, low interest rate, long-term financing, and that's really the strategy. That's really the play on these deals. So you're buying the house subject to their financing. Okay, so what I want to talk about, so that's the opportunity here. Okay, I want y'all to understand that. Like, that's the opportunity, is that you are going to essentially be buying the property, but what you're doing is taking over their mortgage, although it's still going to stay in their name. Okay, that mortgage is going to stay in their name, but the opportunity for you here as real estate investors is the ability to begin to get 100% deals, or really, really close to 100% deals, because what you're doing is taking over the mortgage. And a lot of times all that you're doing is covering any closing costs, which are very, very minimal. Sometimes the sellers want some cash, 5, 10, 20 grand, depending on the scenario. You have to make sure those numbers work. But the benefit you got to understand for you is that you're able to get this long-term financing, which I know there's a lot of real estate investors who can't and are just kind of caught in that hamster wheel of always wholesaling deals. They're not able to begin to build a portfolio, a rental portfolio, a buy and hold portfolio. So this allows you to do it. Also, you can do it in a really, really quick time frame. The benefits, I guess I'll talk about that quickly. For the seller is what? No realtor commissions. They don't have to put it on the market. They get out, and they get out from under and alleviate the expense and the pain of paying the mortgage on this property, because you're going to take it over. Now, what they have to do, and what they have to understand, what you have to do, is really be able to communicate, what this entails, right? And so my next point is for you to take advantage of subject to deals. The more you know, the more your business will grow, because homeowners are not going to allow you to take over their mortgage if you can't explain exactly how this process works and exactly how, if you can't establish the trust, right, to perform on the loan. Because if you go into these conversations with them and you really don't know some of the inner workings of a subject to deal, I've seen this happen where, real estate investors are saying, hey, can I take over your mortgage? And they're like, what in the hell are you talking about? Versus like, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, understand your situation. You've lost your job. There's not a lot of equity in your home. You may, not be able to sell your home now for the next 3 to 6 months. And I understand that you may not be able to make your payments during that time. Would you be interested, in learning how that you could alleviate the pressure of making those payments? Would you learn how to possibly, create a small income stream out of your property, maybe $50 a month. Who knows what that income stream is going to be? But basically what you need to be able to do is establish, eliminate their fear, reduce their fear by educating them about the process of subject to, and really qualifying yourself on why you are the one that should be the one that is able to help them, right? Because we're problem solvers. You got to understand that as real estate investors, we're problem solvers. So the more that you know, the more your business will grow. You have to have intelligent conversations with them. But if you can navigate through these conversations and explain to them why, selling their house via subject to and avoiding a foreclosure, right? They may be going into a bankruptcy, who knows, like avoiding that foreclosure. And I haven't hit on this yet. That is one of the big things, one of the big things that you have to help them with and help them to understand is if they have, a foreclosure on their records, it's going to ruin them financially for years and years and years to come. But if they sell to you with subject to financing, they're probably not going to be able to get another loan because that loan's going to stay in their name, but they can go and rent a property, find others, housing choice, whether it's a rental or it's an apartment or whatever it is for the time being. That's the way that you can help them. And what you've done now is locked in a home with very, very low equity, most likely from a home that was bought a few years ago. Don't know, you're going to have to look at your numbers. Your numbers have to make sense, but I'm just telling you, a lot of these deals, they don't have as much equity in them, and that's why I say you make your money when you sell. Okay, you make your money when we sell. So we all hear about typically in real estate, you make your money when you buy, and you should be buying with equity, right? We like to buy with 30, sometimes 35% equity after our all-in costs on deals. You're not going to find that typically with subject to, but with subject to, you should be going into these things cash positive. They have to cash flow. So you have to know your numbers, your PITI, your future capital expenditures, right? Repairs, maintenance, management, all that type of stuff. You have to be able to invest sustainably with subject to for the long term. Okay, so make sure that you've done that. If you can do that, you can cash flow. So now you have you're beginning to build your portfolio in a down market, right? So we've got to weather the storm of the long term. So make sure you're cash positive. If these are newer homes, there shouldn't be any too much deferred maintenance and things like that. You stay cash positive. You lease these properties out. You manage them for the next 2 to 5 years. Next 2 to 5 years, we're in an appreciating market. That say $200,000 property, that's appreciating, say just 3%. 3-5%, who knows, in a period of years, it could be a $250,000 property. Then you can realize that gain at that point in time with no money down, guys. The return is infinite on these types of deals. Some of these may just kind of be forever homes. You find them, they may have 15 years left or less. you can take over those types of deals and you can absolutely begin creating wealth. But be smart, guys. Be smart with subject to, be smart with all of these options. You got to increase your knowledge base, right? Get plugged into YouTube shows. Be sure to subscribe to this one, by the way. Podcasts, there's tons of video, there's tons of information, coaching programs, whatever it is. Increase your knowledge base, right? Get experience on this, get help, get coaching, get mentoring, get support to make sure you do these deals the right way so you can absolutely take advantage of the opportunities that are sure to come with subject to financing here and take advantage. And you too, my friend, can be a savvy real estate investor and take advantage of this in this marketplace.